Hello and welcome, typography enthusiasts. My name is Oliver Schönlöfer, user interface designer and... Whoa, what setting is this here? Everything's new. I'm right in the process of moving to a new office. Where's the A? Now it's a B. I guess it's the B studio then. Regarding the spirit of trying out new things, I wanted to make a new Pimp My Type review with trying out doing it as a call with somebody. It's a bit more of a conversation that I get a feeling of what the story behind the design decisions is. And my first guest is Veronica Fossa. I liked this interview a lot. We talk about the hierarchies, her font choice for a personal brand and website. We also go a bit into the details of CSS, but not a lot. And then I show and try out how things could look differently. A lot of times text is rather large where it should be slightly smaller to make it easier to read, to make it more compact and easier to scan. This one is a bit longer though, but maybe it's also a bit more useful for beginners. I added some chapter marks if you want to jump back and forth there. And just let me know what you think about this. Let me know in the comments below. Ready to get started? Then welcome to this first episode of Pimp My Type review as an interview. Let's go. Veronica, welcome to Pimp My Type. It's such an honor and such a pleasure to have you as my first guest here. And before we get started on reviewing your site you sent in for typographic review, I just want people to get to know you a bit. Maybe you could introduce yourself in one sentence or something.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be the first guest and to have the honor and pleasure to go to a typography review. It's the first one for me. And as a short introduction, I would describe myself as a food experience and gathering designer and strategist. And the thing I do is basically I design togetherness and I help my clients create environments and spaces for people to come together.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's great. So when it comes to typography, one question before we dive into the thing you sent in, why do you want to sharpen your skills when it comes to typography? What do you want to achieve with that? What's the goal behind it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm basically going through a rebranding. And because I've been doing this work for 7 years, so I used to have my own brand as We Factory, and now I'm rebranding as my own name, Veronica Fossa. So the goal with typography is to communicate what my brand is about, and also to do the work once and have it coherent and cohesive across all my assets, whether it's my website, presentation, a proposal, social media, and just to have it as a cohesive look and feel.
Okay, so that's the motivation behind it, to be recognized and have a cohesive appearance there. And did you do the design yourself, or did you find somebody who helped you with that?
Yeah, so it's been quite a long process. I've done a branding academy during the spring, and then I've had a friend who is a brand strategist helping me with the brand. And then I've gone through, I worked with a designer who suggested some typography that I could use. And now I'm working with my brother, who is a web developer, who's developing my website. But I've been art directing the whole thing myself because I have quite strong opinions. So. Okay,
sure, yeah, since you're doing design, even if it's not graphic design per se, but of course you have. And so about your rebranding, what values do you want to convey? What's the message behind it?
Yeah, I want to make people feel like they are welcome in my space. And because I'm working with food, there is a lot of sensorial elements that I want to bring in, both like in terms of images, in terms of typography. So even though it's a digital space, I want to bring in like the senses as much as possible. There is also a strong element of enjoyment, of bringing people into this space where they can feel like taken care of and welcome. But there is also the element of sharing something that lots of people are not familiar with. So there is like a lot of basically bringing people into this journey of rediscovering what the senses can do for you and what the space around the table can create for you and your business.
Okay, so something central would make people sensitive towards their feelings and this kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, if we want to use the, archetypes, if you are familiar with archetypes or anyone in your audience, I think it's a combination of the lover, the caretaker, and a bit of the adventurer archetype.
So a good blend of all these kinds of archetypes. Okay, great. So then let's dive right into it. I already shared my screen, so I hope you can see it.
Yeah.
And you shared your new web design, which is not live yet, but maybe by the time of this being online. So what I see here when I first come to the site. So your heading and where you want to basically take or grab the attention of your viewers, is very prominent. So this is a good thing. And if I take a look at the hierarchies, it's basically the headline, then the picture, and a face always draws attention to, and then of course your logo. And there's one thing when I'm just looking at this, let me check what typeface you're using. You already said to me, it's Alice. And did you buy this one or is it a free one? I'm not familiar with it.
It's a Google font.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So it's not that used since I'm not so familiar with it, I guess. But I think it's a quite good combination to your logo type. At times they could, let's say, they could be a bit opposing because they are quite similar but not the same. But since your logo type has to distinguish itself from the rest, I think it's fine for that. But when I look at the headline here, the sizes is all okay. But I would suggest, because when I'm scrolling down your site, I see a second typeface here. And let me see what this one is. This is Amulia Regular. And where did you get this one?
I got it from FontShare.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, and you remember maybe this backstory I shared with you that the original suggestion was to use Open Sans. Is that Open Sans?
Yeah.
Open Sans, right? And I was like, no, I see it everywhere. I don't want to use Open Sans. And then I found you. And then I started researching like alternatives. And that's when I found Amulia.
Yeah, perfect. So that's a good decision since everybody's using Open Sans, and this is something that's not quite the same, but it kind of falls into the same place. But we can take a look at the details a bit later. So when I'm taking a look at this first impression on your site, I think it would be a good idea to also introduce Amulia here. What was the name again? I have to look it up. Since Alice and what was it?
Amulia.
Amulia, all right, sure. So it would be a great idea to also introduce Amulia here to our visitors from the site, since then every design element more or less is established. You come to the site, you see the big heading in Alice, then you have the combination with Amulia, and I'd also suggest using Amulia for the Get Started button, since then your heading would be more prominent, I guess. We could try this out very briefly here, just by changing this stuff here and adding some, adding the style here. I'm reloading this because Font Ninja messed everything up. I'm using this plugin that can scan the different typefaces. So, but they add HTML classes and so on to these elements. So, okay, let's just go with that and say one family, I think it was. I have to find out how this is called in the other place so we can apply it here. It's Amulia Regular, all right. So, okay, so adding it here. So, font family. maybe this will take also too long. I'm just trying it out for now. I always like to see things since it's a bit easier than to understand what I'm meaning, yeah? So, and then in this way we could also reduce the font size. It's one rand, I'm not sure. Okay, let's make it important, like always. This is bad CSS, but this is not for production sake, so it's okay, I guess. So, and then let's see at the button here, inspect this element and add another style, and then, come on, there it is. Again, font family Amulia, and then maybe here, this could be slightly smaller. All right, okay. So just to give you a feeling here. So when you come to this place, now it looks a bit calmer. And I guess when you check this out, and also you introduced all the, let's say, actors on this piece that's called Veronica Fossa's website. now the audience is familiar with that already. And this is the star. This is clearly the star, followed, of course, typography always has to be the star, sorry, but of course followed by you, and then your logo type, and then your introduction text. And I think this is a bit calmer now, comparing it to the previous version here, and where it's a bit messy, maybe. Yeah. Because Alice draws attention. That's good, but you should use it wisely. And when we continue, this looks very nice. It's tidied up. I like it. Maybe you could emphasize some words in there, make them bold, for example, so that people have something to fixate on, and make this a bit easier to digest, this first paragraph. Just one word or two words in one paragraph, not more, just to give a bit of focus there. And when I'm continuing down there to this pull quote, I'm not so sure if it's ideally set in this way, since it's very large. So it kind of is right in my face there. So it might be a bit. That's true. It might be a bit too much for that. So let's see how it would look if we reduced the size here. And so let me check this out. Okay, you said font weight. So let's make it. Okay. All right. Maybe 2. That's too much again. 7.5. So just trying things out. But I think here it's easier to scan and grasp as one impression. And what I also would recommend here in this situation is that you could slightly reduce the line height, maybe to 1.4 or 3 or something. That's too little. To make it a bit more compact. So when I'm turning this off, on, you see, now it becomes more of a unit, and you can easily grasp it here. And also here, as I see the hierarchies of these captions, they work quite well, since I see that this is the name, and then, okay, it's the position or something, or the job description or something like that. Yep. So this works quite well, but I would rather change it to a smaller font size, because it's already set in all caps letters. So you could reduce this a bit. What I really appreciate that you increase the spacing there. So this is look nicer. Awesome. Yes, you always should increase the spacing of all caps words slightly. So when I take a look at letter spacing, let me check this out. So you see, this is too dense here. So it's a good decision that you made it. I would recommend not using a pixel value though, since your font size could be relative. And if you're just using, let's say 101 M or something like this, which would then scale up proportionally, a pixel is always a pixel. So I would use that for this situation. This is just some CSS stuff, maybe for the person who's coding this then, And about the font size now. So let's check this out. Font size here. Okay, so testimonial author, it could be slightly smaller. maybe something like this even, yeah? You
So
see?
both of them, both the name and the position.
Since they are easy to distinguish because of their different colors. So the hierarchy is achieved by the lighter color and the darker color. And you should not make something slightly larger, slightly smaller, decide for something. So then it's easier to follow the rules, and also for the people who are looking at it, it's easier to understand what this basically means then. And and then we could go on by vertically centering this and so on, but we won't do that now. But let's compare it again here with this before and after. Here it's a lot, and here it's a more compact. And I could also imagine if you have a slider or something in there with several testimonials, it would also work fine.
Yeah.
Okay, this is great, works fine. Again, here I'd recommend using the sans serif typeface. I forgot the name.
Amulia.
Yes, you say it now every time. Use Amulia there.
Amulia.
Yeah.
I hope it's pronounced right.
We have to ask Fonshare, I guess. So leave this for the stars or something. You could also maybe make it slightly smaller in this situation, since it's not the primary call to action. This is the primary call to action and not the other one. So, but I'm scrolling down there on the other tab. This works fine as well. And yeah, here again, when something is very big, it always becomes harder to read when there's a lot of it. So also in this situation, I would recommend making it a little smaller in this situation here. So let me check out the font size here and see what it does. Okay, where is the font size? Okay, XX large, yeah, so it's XX large, of course, yeah. So, but if it was just slightly smaller, you see, it's more compact, it's more of a unit, and it's a bit easier to consume. If I'm talking nonsense and you don't see this, just say it. So
no, it makes sense.
Absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it's also basically this is not horrible. It's just an opinion, basically. Yeah. And here also it's a bit more compact compared to this one, which is a lot. Yeah. And you don't know what's more important. Is it the image or is it the text? Because they more or less have the same visual weight there. And once the text is slightly smaller, you can say, okay, the image draws me in, and then it's more or less of a caption there, and not so much. They are not opponents or something. Yeah. Again, with this here, view all projects, view testimonials, this would be something set in. What's the name?
Amulia.
Yes, all right. I love how you added the logos in here. I hope this is a placeholder. But
I don't know.
No, the thing is, I think it's not necessary to say that these are clients, because I think I would...
It's obvious, right?
Yes, of course. Or I would change it by saying or happy clients, and then put this on top and not beside, because here I would say, is this a logo, or is because it looks so similar?
Yeah, right.
The other ones are also logo types, more or less. Okay, then with the articles, I think here we have a tiny problem with the hierarchy. This could be larger, since I'm getting to a new section now, and now it gets a bit complicated, because further down you see that here the headings, this is a bit too much, and it totally makes sense to use longer headings since of search engine optimization, I guess.
Exactly.
Like everybody uses this.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. But I wouldn't recommend using it's not Amulia, Alice. Now I remember. I wouldn't recommend maybe using the bold weight of Amulia in here, and make this not the same. I'm not sure if you loaded it, so let's just see if we can simulate this. If we can't, I'll skip it and cut it out. Let's say so. Font family. Okay, so in this situation, let's just try out and say here. Amulia. I think, no, I don't have it in my Amulia regular, I think it was. Okay, and see if it is bold as well. It has.
Yeah, there's so many styles. I think there are 6 or 8.
There's also one thing I would recommend for your web development. Don't name them Amulia regular and Amulia bold. This is just something CSS terms.
Yeah.
Name it Amulia and change the weight by changing the font weight, because accidentally you could make faux bold styles because the browser doesn't know what is the bold weight. So this is so basically 101 of integrating this font faces. Okay, and now let's set the font size to, let's say, 1 rem or something. Okay, or 1.5, and then the line height to 1.3 or 1.3 important, 1.2. Oh, sure, 1. There's something going on, but whatever. But now it's a bit easier, or maybe 1.5 is too much. Maybe it could be also 1.25 or something. But you will get that this is the heading, and the other one is basically the introduction, or the something like that.
Yeah.
And this is no proper CSS here, and it's not about that. It's basically about how to set this. Oh no! Don't load it. No. It's always the danger when you hit something in the DevTools. And let's see if everything's gone. Let's see. It's gone. Oh no.
No.
Yeah, okay. I won't do it again. But I think you saw that it's easier to read and the hierarchies are clearer than if you use the bold weight of Amulia. Okay, great.
One question for you. Would that work instead of Amulia bold to use it the Amulia medium? Or is it too similar to the body?
You always want to create, let's say, to make it really different. Don't make it slightly bolder or slightly lighter or something. A medium weight is something that's very useful when you use it in very small sizes, for example, and you want it to be readable still. For example, in a small caption or in a user interface component or something, there a medium weight comes in quite handy. But when it comes to emphasizing your text, you always should make it really different. So if you have a regular weight, and then you should use the bold, not use the semi-bold or the medium or whatever, because then it looks kind of an error, or it's not intentional enough for people to understand that this is an emphasis or it's not. It's just something then. So that's the reason why I wouldn't use medium in this case.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but caveat, it always depends on the typeface, of course. Sometimes there are situations when the regular weight is too light. And then you use the medium weight for the body text or something like that. This also might appear. All right. Okay. And then last but not least, what I see are faux italics. I just made a video about that, and this just breaks my heart. No, don't do it to these old. They didn't do anything, so no. Just removing it. I guess it's some styling by this component, and you just have to remove font style italic there right away.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you take something away from it?
Sure. I think I really love this idea of showing all the design or the typography elements from the start. And that was a great takeaway for me. And especially because now, as I said, I have all this Alice, which is nice, but it's true, it's too much. Yeah. So that was a great takeaway. I think there was also these parts of the clients and the press where I would just remove the Amulia all caps. That didn't really work. So it looks much cleaner.
That's great.
And it's a great feeling. I must say, we still need to add some colors in there. It's just the structure and the typography, but I already feel that it's much cleaner and pleasure to the eyes. So thank you.
The hierarchies totally work, and your font choice is great as well, since the Amelia is a kind of simpler version of Alice. So they really fit together well. So that's a great decision. And I think it also is a great vehicle to convey your atmosphere, this approachability, something sensual. I think it's a great font choice. So
great.
Thank you a lot that you were my first guest here. Everybody that watched, let us know in the comments below how you liked it, if you found something useful or helpful, and see you in the next one.